Hey there, I'm Avip. Welcome to the audiobook of my fanfic, Muitiverse Crafter. I don't own RWBY or any of its characters. This is a non-profit fan project made just for fun and shared for free. All rights belong to their original creators. Before we start, I want to let you know that since I'm not fluent in speaking English yet, the narration is AI generated. I hope you still enjoy the story and the world I've created. Thanks for listening.
Chapter 38, Interlude 2. Point of view, Jaune Arc. In the cargo hold of the Blackbird, I face the enormous container. Amber beside me crosses her arms, tilting her head curiously. Meanwhile, Ilya maintains a serious expression. "What is this?" I ask, pointing at the container. Ilya responds without hesitation. "The Atlas Pet Faunus said it's the payment for White Knight ink." Feeling tired, I frown, glancing at Amber, who shrugs. Sighing, I turn back to Ilya and continue questioning her. "But what's inside?" "Don't know, they just said it was the payment." A vein of anger throbs on my forehead. I clench my fists, irritation boiling over. "What do you mean, you don't know what's inside? Ilya, you let them put a container on my ship without knowing what was in it." Ilya steps back but keeps her stance firm. "It was your payment," says the chameleon Faunus defensively. "Should I have left it outside to be stolen?" Church's hologram materializes beside me, his translucent form glowing softly. He raises his hands, trying to defuse the situation. "Relax, Jude," the AI says in an informal tone. "On Remnant, they've never had to deal with anything like 9/11. If it's not military, they're pretty lax about transport security." I take a deep breath, trying to rein in my frustration. I look at Ilya, who keeps a neutral expression, but I catch a glint of worry in her eyes. Amber, on the other hand, seems more curious than anything, watching the exchange with interest. Fine, you're all right, Ilya, but next time just be more careful, okay? Terrorists should have better awareness about cargo that could be bombs." Grumbling in frustration, I run a hand through my hair. Amber steps forward, her green eyes gleaming with curiosity. "So are you gonna open it or not?" I glance at the container, my frustration giving way to curiosity. Stepping forward, I reach out to open the doors. The metal creaks, revealing the contents as my eyes widen. Everyone's jaw drops at what's inside. "Glad I let them make the delivery," Ilya comments, smiling victoriously. Inside, rows upon rows of dust vials, each glowing with a familiar intensity, the same brilliance I saw when I had dinner with Weiss. "Grade 4 dust," I mutter in disbelief. Amber steps closer, her green eyes reflecting the intense light of the vials. She reaches out, touching one with reverence. "Yeah, and it looks like there are a few hundred in here." Ilya beside me lets out a low whistle, her serious expression shifting to an impressed smile. "That's one hell of a payment." Church, still in hologram form, floats around the container, his digital eyes gleaming with interest. "They really wanted to make sure you were pleased." I shake my head, still unable to believe what I'm seeing. This is incredible." Amber turns to me, her eyes shining with a mix of admiration and concern. "Jaune, this is a lot of dust. What are you gonna do with all of it?" A smirk starts forming at the corner of my lips as ideas flood my mind. I stare at the container, the glow of the dust vials reflecting in my eyes. The possibilities are almost overwhelming, but one idea in particular stands out. "Church," I call, turning to the AI's hologram. "Can you draft blueprints for a modified MJOLNIR-powered assault armor, something compatible with my implants and enhanced body?" "Easy," he responds without hesitation. "It will be simple enough for you to understand and replicate with your power." Amber and Ilya exchange curious glances but stay silent, watching the exchange with interest. I step forward, my mind racing. "Delta, alter course to Mistral." Curious, Amber places a hand on my shoulder and turns me to face her. "Weren't we short on time and supposed to head back to Beacon?" I burst into loud laughter, the sound echoing through the Blackbird's cargo hold. Amber and Ilya stare at me surprised, but I can't hold back the laughter. The idea of returning to Beacon with an extra maiden is just too hilarious. "Doubt Ozpin will complain about the delay," I say between laughs. "After all, I will bring back an extra maiden as a souvenir." Point of view, Weiss. Sitting comfortably in my private room at the CCT, I wait for the call to connect. I've always been able to maintain my composure in situations like this, but the usual signs of nervousness like cold sweat and a racing heart are absent today. For the first time, I feel in control, secure while discussing business with my father. The screen flickers and there he is, Jacques Schnee, the man who once intimidated me but not today. I hope you're proud of yourself, Weiss. Your little venture is costing the SDC a fortune. Feigning surprise, I raise a brow. What do you mean, father? I don't understand. He leans forward, his icy blue eyes piercing. The Atlas military decided not to renew 30% of their contracts with the SDC. You think that's a coincidence? They're eyeing your inventions, your promises of cheap, clean energy. They're waiting to see what you do next. I smile internally but keep my expression neutral. And what do you expect me to do? He scoffs impatiently and points a threatening finger at me. You will sell that so-called White Knight Incorporated to me. Shocked, I shot up from my seat, the chair scraping against the polished floor. Have you lost your mind? His eyes narrow, his voice low but cutting. Watch your tone, young lady, I am your father. Sitting, I clench my fists, nails digging into my palms. Father or not, that's ridiculous. WKI is not for sale. He leans forward, his face stern. Then secure majority shares and transfer them to me afterward. I'll buy them at market value to avoid unnecessary bad press. My father huffs irritably. Otherwise, I'll bury every invention and research from your little company under red tape and safety concerns. Over time, everything will return to normal, and SDC's profit margins will rise again. I stare in disbelief, my jaw dropping. Does the man on the other side of the screen truly believe he can keep control of everything in my life? A tightness grips my chest, a suffocating despair I haven't felt since leaving Atlas for Beacon. Wasn't it enough that he dictated my entire education, emotionally destroyed my mother, disinherited my brother? Now he wants to take what I built with Jaune and ensure nothing flourishes. No, I murmur, looking down. My father's eyes widened on the other end of the call. What did you say, young lady? He questions, an eyebrow raised. My heart races unevenly. The room, once cozy, now feels like a battlefield. I feel small, vulnerable, as if I'm back in Atlas, under the weight of his relentless expectations. My hands tremble, sweat dripping down my forehead. His voice, always so authoritative, echoes in my ears, a constant demand for obedience. It's as if an invisible rope is pulling me back, forcing me to yield, to comply. Weiss, you know what's best for the family. Obey me. His words are poison, seeping into my veins, paralyzing my muscles. My throat tightens, air escaping my lungs. It's like I'm drowning, sinking into the depths of my own fear. Father, My voice falters, a weak whisper I barely recognize. It's as if I'm crumbling, piece by piece, succumbing to the weight of expectations, to the conditioning imposed on me since childhood. You know what you must do, Weiss. His voice is a hammer, pounding relentlessly against my mind, breaking my resistance. I feel desolate, as if standing on the edge of a cliff about to fall into the abyss. But just as I'm about to give in, I remember something silly and simple that made me incredibly happy the day I had my first meeting with Jaune. Besides being your business partner, I'd like to be your friend, I recall saying to Arc, opening up more than I usually do, since I hate feeling vulnerable. In response, Jaune just stared at me silently, one eyebrow raised in confusion at my request. The way he answered caught me off guard, but in a pleasant way. I thought we were already friends, Jaune replied, smiling. Jaune Arc is foul-mouthed, crude and rough around the edges, but he's always honest and direct. He genuinely cares about what I think, what I feel. Jaune never saw me just as an heiress, as a pawn in the corporate world's chessboard. I'm waiting, dear daughter, my father says impatiently. I feel strength from the memory, a spark of courage igniting in my chest. I take a deep breath, the tears drying, my vision clearing. No. The word comes out firm, clear, without hesitation. My father's eyes widen, surprise plastered across his face. He didn't expect resistance, not from me, the obedient daughter, the perfect heiress. What did you say, Weiss? His voice is thunderous, but I don't flinch, not anymore. I said no, father, I won't sell WKI. I won't betray my principles, I won't betray Jaune. I won't be another puppet in your power games. He leans forward, his eyes cold, his voice sharp. Do you know the consequences, Weiss? Do you realize your future as CEO is at stake? But I don't back down, not this time. What I know, Father, is that you're not as well informed as you think. His eyes narrow, curiosity mixing with anger. What do you mean by that, Weiss? I pull my chair back and sit down again, then lean forward, hands on the table, voice steady. Do you know about the ship Atlas sent on a diplomatic mission to Menagerie? It's not as flashy as their most impressive flying vessels, but it has a prototype engine powered by WKI tech. His eyes widened, surprise flashing across his face. How did you test it so quickly? The smile on my face widens, the satisfaction of seeing my father rattled intoxicating. We have our methods, Father, and the next step is already in motion, mass production for military use. In a few months, all of Atlas will be sustained by our technology. He stammers, his voice failing, as if stuck in a loop of denial. No, that can't be. I tap my fingers on the polished wooden table, a triumphant smile on my lips. My father, always so imposing, now stutters, his eyes wide, sweat dripping down his forehead. The sight is exhilarating, a victory I never imagined achieving. Father, if you'll excuse me, I interrupt his stammering, my voice firm, my tone haughty. I've just received an important email. Judging by the subject line, it's a positive performance report on the engine Jaune built. I need to review it immediately. Weiss, wait, the man tries to speak, but I cut him off by ending the call. I lean back in my chair and look at the screen with a wide grin. In the end, I was so petty antagonizing him. It would have been better for WKI if I'd stayed silent, letting him think I'd betray Jaune. I mutter tiredly, but it felt so good to rub my success in his face and savor my father's dread. I laugh loudly, the feeling of triumph intoxicating, a sweet taste I've never experienced before. For the first time, I feel completely in control, like I have power over my own life, my own future. But then a dark thought creeps in. I could have betrayed Jaune. I could have given in to the pressure, the expectations, the fear. I could have sold WKI, destroyed everything we built together. The laughter dies on my lips, replaced by a tightness in my chest, a lump in my throat. But the image of Jaune surfaces in my mind, his brown eyes, his genuine smile, his unwavering confidence giving me strength. He believed in me, not for my position, not for my name, but for who I am, I murmur to myself. Jaune saw past the mask, past the expectations, past the fear. He saw the real Weiss, and smiling, he agreed to work with me. I open my eyes, determination burning in my chest. I'll never betray the man who believed in me, who gave me strength, who showed me I'm capable, that I'm enough. I'll never betray the man who taught me to believe in myself. I take a deep breath, my decision made, my path clear. I'll fight, I'll resist, I'll face my father, face the world if I have to. Nora Valkyrie. Right now I'm holding the punching bag steady, muscles tensed, as Yang delivers blow after blow. POW, thump. Each impact reverberates through the gym, echoing with her raw strength. Sweat drips down my forehead, but I stay focused, watching every movement. Come on, Zyrolong, that's all you got, I laugh, trying to provoke the blonde. You only hit hard when someone messes with your hair. Yang pauses for a second, panting, and shoots me a sharp look. And what about you? She counters, punching the bag even harder. You only go all out when someone stares at Ren too long. My laughter cuts off, and I respond in a serious, threatening tone. You know I cut a bitch who stares at my Rennie for too long. Yang stops punching to stare at me with a raised eyebrow. A tense atmosphere threatens to form, but it shatters when we both burst into laughter. The sound echoes through the gym, easing the tension. You're impossible, Nora, Yang says, shaking her head, a wide grin on her face. And you love it, I shoot back, still laughing. Before Yang can resume working the punching bag, a cheerful voice echoes through the gym. Hello, says the familiar voice. We turn toward the sound. Pyrrha walks into the gym, practically bouncing with happiness. Her eyes shine and a bright smile lights up her face. She waves at us, her energy contagious. Last time she got this happy was when Jaune offered to massage her shoulders. I whisper just loud enough for Yang to hear. Is he good? Yang asks, intrigued. Pyrrha refused the massage, I explained in a whisper, but she got this happy just from him offering. Oh Pyrrha, Yang murmurs melancholically, shaking her head. This girl's such a simp. Who's a simp? Pyrrha asks, catching us off guard. Yang and I jump back, shaking our heads vigorously. No, nothing like that, I say, raising my hands defensively. Just someone you don't know. Yang nods in agreement, crossing her arms. Yeah, no big deal. Pyrrha tilts her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. I gulp, remembering how yandere dangerous Pyrrha can get when it comes to her non-existent relationship with Jaune. To change the subject, I ask, Su'u Pyrrha, what's got you so jolly? With Jaune's delay, I thought you'd be down. Pyrrha turns, her smile still radiant. It's really a shame Jaune's running late, but today I did something I never thought I could do. Beside me, Yang smirks mischievously and steps forward. Did you pop your... I cut her off by clamping a hand over her mouse. What did Yang say? Pyrrha asks, confused. Nothing at all, I force a laugh, then whisper just loud enough for Yang to hear. Don't joke about that. This psycho ripped out all the plumbing in our room last time I made that joke. Yang's eyes widen for a second, but she nods in agreement with my warning. Still smiling, Pyrrha continues. As I was saying, today I permanently quit my career as a celebrity champion. My eyes widen and a cheer escapes my lips. Pyrrha, that's amazing, I jump on Pyrrha, hugging her tightly. I'm so happy for you. She laughs, returning the hug with equal intensity. I feel the warmth of her happiness, the contagious positive energy. Thanks, Nora. Beside us, Yang scratches her head, a confused expression on her face. Wait, hold up, why is this good news? You were the most famous huntresses in training in Remnant. Yang says, genuinely concerned. Don't you need the money to hell your mom? I'm surprised by Yang's question. I knew the two had gotten close after fighting in the ring over Jaune, but not this close. Curious about her reaction, I glance at Pyrrha. Pyrrha smiles at Yang, genuine but with a hint of sadness. Thanks for worrying, Yang, Pyrrha says softly. But my mom's well taken care of. I've never been one to splurge, so I've saved enough to ensure she lives comfortably for many years. Yang tilts her head, clarity dawning on her face. Know that you say, compared to Weiss, you really only seem to spend money on your weapons. Until yesterday, sponsors covered that for me, Pyrrha explains, surprising both me and Yang. I barely spent any of my endorsement money, and for the future, as long as I'm at Beacon, I'll have food and housing covered. After that I can live well just on a huntress's salary. I nod along as Pyrrha explains her situation. For JNPR members, it's no secret that Pyrrha hates the spotlight, I say in a lecturing tone. She always comes back from signings or photoshoots with a headache and mental exhaustion. Yang nods, finally understanding the full picture. A smile forms on her lips and she crosses her arms, looking at Pyrrha with a challenging glint in her eyes. Well, so how about a spa to celebrate? Yang suggests, excitement in her voice. Pyrrha laughs, her eyes gleaming with the same enthusiasm. Challenge accepted, she declares boldly. As the two head toward the ring, an idea pops into my head. I step forward, raising a hand to interrupt the impending fight. Wait, I shout, grabbing their attention. How about a new bet between you two? Pyrrha and Yang turn to me, both scowling and irritated. No, they shout in unison. Chapter 39, Interlude 3. Point of view, Raven Branwen. I didn't expect the day to start so strangely. First thing I noticed was the wind changing abnormally, unnaturally blowing downward. The breeze carries a peculiar smell, different from the usual forest aroma. My eyes narrow, catching the subtle change in the environment. A large, dense, abnormal black cloud begins to hover over the camp. It's not the smoke from the bonfires nor rain clouds. It's something different. Something that shouldn't be there. Smells like male body spray and beer, I whisper, ruminating on what this could be. Others from the Branwen tribe members continue their activities, oblivious to the strange pattern forming in the sky. Sound of laughter and conversations doesn't cease, but my instincts tell me something isn't right. The cloud moves irregularly, as if it has a will of its own. I watch carefully, trying to decipher what could be causing it. Safe bet is a maiden, but could also be a semblance. My instincts have never failed me before. So I put on my nevermore mask to hide my spring maiden powers if necessary and activate my sheath. Quickly a wind dust blade is connected to my sword hilt as finally others in the camp start noticing the strange cloud. I assume my Aijutsu stance and charge my sword with aura, triggering the dust blade's reaction. Reveal yourself, I shout loudly, drawing my sword in an arch through the air, creating a flying wind slash. The wind slash hits the cloud, dispersing it and revealing a black jet, unlike any bullhead I've ever seen. What is that, leader? Vernal asks, arriving at my side. I don't know, I reply without taking my eyes off the jet. It doesn't appear to be one of Ozpin's models. With everyone's attention focused on the hovering aircraft, music starts playing from its speakers, music unlike anything I've ever heard. Guitar riffs fill the air, accompanied by a high-pitched, peculiar vocal howling disturbingly. The tribe begins to crowd under the ship, drawn by the unusual sound. Murmurs of curiosity spread among them. The jet remains static in the air, its presence imposing and mysterious. The black jet's hatch opens, releasing several white robots flying out, carrying white boxes. They move quickly, placing the boxes on the ground before quickly flying back to the aircraft. Don't approach, I shout to the tribe, my voice echoing through the camp. But it was too late. One impulsive idiot had already opened one of the boxes. It's cold beer, he exclaims, grabbing a can. There's more here, shouts another tribe member, opening another box. Dark metal cans are revealed, each containing an amber liquid that glows in the sunlight. Before I can reprimand the foolish behavior, the music reaches a crescendo. The sound of guitar riffs echoes louder through the camp, making the ground vibrate, followed by a voice calling my name. Raven Branwen, a voice resounds clear and powerful. I challenge you for control of the Branwen clan. The sound of my name makes me shudder. My men stop and stare at me, the music still pulsing in the air. All eyes turn to me, waiting for a reaction. The black jet remains in the air, motionless but now even more threatening. Who dares challenge me? I say, pointing my sword toward the jet. The music's volume rises as if climbing steps. From the hovering black jet, a figure in armor emerges. It jumps without a parachute or any landing strategy. When it hits the ground with one knee bent and the opposite fist punching the earth, it creates a small crater from the impact. Me, replies my challenger as the music explodes. Welcome to the jungle, we got fun and games. We got everything you want, honey, we know the names. We are the people that can find whatever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease. The clan members, now completely engrossed in the spectacle, raise their cans in salute, toasting the challenger who dared to face me. Fools cheering for someone who clearly came to arrest them, I mutter through clenched teeth, keeping my eyes fixed on the challenger. As the challenger stands, I get a better look at him. His futuristic white armor shines in the sunlight. He wears futuristic white and gold armor, better than anything I've seen from an Atlas soldier. At the center of his chest is a strange circle glowing with a blue light. He walks toward me, each step firm and deliberate. The tribe applauds, impressed by the dramatic entrance. Who are you? I ask, my voice sharp as a blade. Stopping a few meters away, I notice the challenger is over 2 meters tall. Jaune Arc, he says through the armor speaker, pointing his thumb at himself. I laugh loudly, a guttural sound echoing through the camp. The tribe falls silent, surprised by my reaction. So you are the son of the Vale's lion, I say, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Your father is a great warrior, but I doubt his little cub is worthy of my blade. The futuristic armored warrior takes a microphone from his holster and brings it to his mask. Raven laughs at me, thinking I'm joke, not worthy of her blade. He says dramatically into the microphone, which seems redundant as he is using the armor speaker. The real joke here is that the person talking about worth is the biggest coward in all of Remnant. My eyes widen, frozen by a mix of surprise and consuming hatred. The challenger, taking advantage of my paralysis, continues. Raven Branwen, the great leader of the Branwen tribe, he says sarcastically. No wonder your semblance is teleportation. He turns to me and points his finger in my direction. The perfect power for a woman who ran from the enemy, ran from her husband, and most pathetically of all, ran from her own daughter. He finishes by dropping the microphone to the ground. Perfect. Consumed by fury, I charge blindly. my blade cutting through the air in a deadly arc. "Damn you," I scream furiously. However, the challenger dodges with supernatural speed, drawing a strange yellow metal collar. As my sword finds only empty air, the momentum of the swing throws me off balance briefly. Taking advantage of my opening, the challenger places the collar around my neck before I can react. The cold metal touches my skin, sending an electric shock down my spine. I try to break free, but the bow adjusts, tightening around my neck forcefully. "What is this?" I snarl, my voice filled with rage and frustration. "An inhibitor collar," the challenger replies. "You won't be able to use your semblance to escape or your spring maiden powers." My eyes widen at the declaration. "How?" I ask, stunned. "None of your business," the armored man says, assuming a running stance. "Church, I want armor enhancement speed." "You got it," exclaim a familiar voice from his armor. "Is that Ty?" But before I can have my answer, he disappears from my sight. Where did I feel the impact before I saw him. Even with aura, I flinched from the impact of his fist on my stomach. He is on top of me, moving with even more absurd speed than before. He blues as punches and kicks strike my body, each faster and stronger than the last. I try to react, but my movements are too slow. He stops my actions with punches to my stomach and face. His armor glows with each attack, as if feeding off my pain. Every impact sends shockwaves through my body. Even with my aura up, I feel my bones shake inside, my muscles scream in protest. In seconds of fighting, he makes my aura around me flickers, desperately trying to hold. But the lion's sun is relentless. I try to use my semblance to teleport out of his reach, but the collar around my neck emits a low hum, blocking my ability. His next kick hits my ribs, and I feel something break. The pain is excruciating, but I can't afford to give up. I can't be defeated like this, not by a kid I don't even know. But he continues, relentless, as I finally realize something. This is not a fight, it's just an execution. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, my aura shatters. I feel the protective barrier disintegrate, leaving me vulnerable. The challenger stops, his breathing heavy but controlled. He looks at me, his eyes cold and calculating behind the mask. "You've lost," he says, his voice dripping with disdain. "Now the Branwen clan is mine." Around me, the clan members cheer loudly. Shouts of "the strong prevail" and "the weak submit" echo through the camp. Every word is a knife to my pride. My breathing is heavy, my body aching, but the physical pain is nothing compared to the humiliation. I try to stand, but my muscles fail as my ribs scream in pain. The challenger, Jaune Arc, looms over me, his presence imposing. He says nothing, just watches me with those cold, calculating eyes. The tribe continues celebrating, oblivious to my suffering. They toast with their beer cans, laughing and applauding the new leader. And as my first command as leader, Jaune says, pausing to ensure everyone's attention, "Surrender to the Atlas forces around us." The clan members, still in a festive mood, spit out their beer, their eyes widening as they see Atlas ships hovering around the camp. The laughter and applause cease, replaced by expressions of shock and fear. They turn, trying to understand what's happening, but it's already too late. I laugh loudly, a bitter, guttural sound. "This is what you fools deserve," my voice echoes through the camp, dripping with disdain. "Now the whole tribe will be arrested." "Except you, little bird," Jaune says mockingly. "I have a special K for you." Point of view, Blanche Arc. I sigh, tired, looking at the map in front of me. The lines and markers spread across the table tell a story of strategy and planning, but also frustration. "Everything was going so well until a few days ago," I muttered in frustration. "Where did he go?" Team BLNC, Blanche, composed of me, Leela's, Cerulean and Noir, was destroying White Fang terrorist cells with ruthless efficiency. Every mission was executed with precision, every target eliminated without hesitation. Even Adam Taurus, who could pose a threat to me alone, became a minor nuisance when we attacked him as a team. Whenever we attacked a base with Adam, we let him escape after defeating him in combat, leaving him to stew in hatred and humiliation. The last one was the worst for the bull Faunus, especially since Leela's cut off his arm using her semblance. A melancholic pride fills me as I recall the incident. Slowly, I turn to the youngest member of the Arc family, who was sitting in the shade of a tree sharpening her longsword. At just 13, she's already dismembered one of Vale's most dangerous criminals. I thought silently. This girl is going to be a monster. Turning back to the map, I'm reminded of my frustration. Injured and missing an arm, Adam should have been easy to track to his new hideout. But no, the terrorist simply vanished. Could someone be helping him? I whisper, trying to find an answer, but my thoughts are interrupted by a familiar shout. Look at this bullshit, Noir yells, entering the camp waving a newspaper in her hand. Cerulean, or C as she prefers to be called, glances over disinterestedly from where she's sitting. The huntress with a blonde mohawk is busy making dust arrows, not that C ever pays attention to the rest of the team when she's not in active combat. I sigh, tired, and approach Noir. Her face is red with anger as she shakes a crumpled newspaper in her hands. I take the paper, trying to understand what has made her so worked up. What is it now, Noir? I ask, looking at the headline. C, sitting nearby, scoffs without looking up from her arrows. Probably too many big words in the headline. That's why she's frustrated. Noir huffs, crossing her arms. Shut up, C, my twin grumbles. It's the front page news, read this crap. I look at the headline and read aloud. Faunaria, the Faunus nation in Menagerie founded with Atlas support. I say, impressed by the news. I know our father won't like this, but I didn't think you'd have such strong negative feelings on his level. Keep reading, Noir says, poking the first line of the article. I find her behavior odd but resolve to indulge her. The leadership of Faunaria and Atlas attributes the success of the Faunus nations, founding to a young huntsman in training known as, my voice falters, the newspaper trembling in my hands, Jaune Arc. Noir, still with her arms crossed, lets out a disdainful grunt. C, finally interested, drops her arrows and approaches, eyes wide. Leela's turns toward us but doesn't get up or put down her sword. Jaune, C asks, incredulous, our Jaune. Seems like it, I reply, still stunned, looking at the official photo of Jaune standing among Faunus politicians and Atlas military officials. How did he do this? He's the weakest Arc. Noir huffs again, her face twisted in anger. This is ridiculous, complains Noir. He couldn't have done this without Dad or at least us. Someone must be behind it. From a distance, Leela's raises her hand to get our attention. What's the problem? Our youngest sister asks. C, Noir and I are caught off guard by the question, staring at Leela's in silence. According to what you said, he did nothing wrong and brought prestige to the Arc name by participating in a major event like the founding of a nation, Leela says, standing and walking toward us. Cerulean is just surprised, which is a normal reaction, but you and Noir are frustrated, maybe even angry. Why? I take a step back, confused. She's right, I think silently. Why I have these feelings of disgust inside me. Noir, on the other hand, without thinking, just shouts in response. Jaune has obligations to the Arc clan. He can't just waste time and risk himself with nonsense. He needs to come home and fulfill his duties. Leela's blinks, surprised by Noir's outburst, but simply turns to sit back down and continue sharpening her sword. Frustrated, Noir huffs through her nose, her face red with anger, and turns to Cerulean, demanding. Don't you get it, C? Jaune is meddling in things he shouldn't. He has responsibilities to the family, to the Arc clan. He can't just go around playing hero. Cerulean shrugs, returning her attention to her arrows. Honestly, Noir, I only care about the money I'll get from this mission, and the vacation I'll take with my husband. Jaune can live his own life for all I care. Noir's rant fades into the background as I try to understand this strange anguish inside me, this alien feeling forcing me to feel in a certain way at Jaune's actions. Did our father use his voice on me? I murmur, fearing the answer might be yes. Point of view, Jaune Arc. My plan to distract the bandits while the Atlas military surrounded them was a success. I can't wait to rub my success in Amber's face. Still can't believe she called my idea of putting on a WWE-style show with beer the dumbest and unnecessary thing she's ever heard. If I'd had more time, I would have had bikini girls serving food, I say happily to myself, arms crossed. Even Ilya would have been distracted. I remain wearing my armor and helmet. Church said it would make the Atlas officers treat me with more respect. I observe the camp from the highest point where Raven's tent was, the setting sun painting the sky in shades of orange and purple as Atlas ships fill with captured bandits. Colonel Trautman, shouts a short elderly woman in my direction, saluting. I bring news. I turn toward the soldier and nod, allowing her to approach. In response, the woman frowns, slightly irritated, her brown eyes narrowing as she scrutinizes me from head to toe. You're not a fan of military etiquette, Colonel, Caroline Cordovin asks as she approaches. I shrug and reply without turning. Direct any complaints you have to the general's desk, or shove it up your ass. She raises an eyebrow but doesn't argue. Thank God I had church talk to Ironwood about this plan, I think, relieved. The colonel title might be temporary, but it's useful for avoiding headaches. Caroline steps closer, the sound of her heavy boots against the sandy ground. She stops beside me, shoulders squared, posture rigid. All captured members will be taken for proper processing, sir. I nod, keeping my gaze fixed on the horizon. The wind blows, kicking up dust and making the Atlas flag ripple in the distance. Raven Branwen is secured in the special cell on the Blackbird, as per your instructions, along with her bounty. And the other target. Cordovin hesitates for a moment before continuing, but quickly breaks into a sadistic smile. Unfortunately, restraints were necessary, Cordovin says, failing to hide her delight at the news. She is currently in the custody of your agents. Good, I reply, walking past her. You're dismissed, Cordovin. Before I can get further away, Cordovin calls out to me. Colonel Trautman, her voice echoes, firm and authoritative. I stop, turning slowly. Cordovin stands tall, posture straight, gaze fixed on me. Sir, I would like to remind you that it was thanks to my masterful coordination skills that Raven Branwen's capture was possible. Therefore, I expect a recommendation letter to General Ironwood acknowledging my contribution. I sigh tiredly and turn to face the annoying dwarf. Take it easy on her, Church says through my implants. She's a pain, but she did help a lot with logistics. The last thing I need right now is a dwarf desperate for attention, I think, taking a deep breath to stay calm. Listen here, Cordovin, I say, my voice harsher than intended. I'll put in a good word for you with Ironwood, personally. The little woman smiles at that, but only if you shut up and never speak to me again. Cordovin opens her mouth to respond but thinks better of it. Her eyes flash with a mix of surprise and irritation, but she nods reluctantly. Great, I turn my back and continue walking, leaving her behind. As I walk through the camp, Atlas soldiers salute me. It's something I don't plan to get used to, as this colonel persona is only useful for this kind mission. Approaching the Blackbird. The sounds of the camp begin to mix with a familiar but irritated voice. I pause, listening carefully. It's an elderly woman and she's clearly furious. This is outrageous. Release me at once, you good-for-nothing hussies. Her voice cuts through the air, sharp and commanding. I sigh, already imagining what awaits me. I open the ship's door and step inside. The interior is a stark contrast to the dry heat outside. I demand to speak to whoever's in charge. The voice repeats, louder and angrier. We are in the middle of the mountains in winter. Why does a military ship have women in bikinis? What kind of operation is this? Operation Slut Storm. I approach the elderly woman strapped to the chair and remove my helmet. Maria Calavera. The old woman stops struggling and complaining when she hears her name. I'm here to recruit you for a special mission. Ha, the old woman laughs, her tone dripping with irony and disdain. I'm too old for the draft, Blondie. Heck, I was too old for it before you were even born. You will be training a young warrior with silver eyes. The old woman stops squirming immediately. Take me to her.
I hope you enjoyed my work. If you'd like more, check out the links in the video description. Goodbye for now.